Welcome back to The Watch, specifically Avatar Episode 2. Episode 2. So, at this point in time, I have watched the entire series.
Yep.
And I've got thoughts on it. And we're going to give a go at trying to do a deep dive review, episode by episode, if you guys are interested. So, really, it'll depend on how much people want to watch this review. And if there's only kind of middling interest, we might just finish it off with an overall summary. But I am interested in doing a deep dive kind of episode by episode because I think it deserves it. And I don't see too many other people doing it because it was just dropped in one heap.
Yes, yeah, that's right. And I personally, as a Avatar stan, I could very easily do one-to-one comparisons. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Exactly. And so I think there's value in it. Now, my kind of impressions, because I guess people are still wondering what are my views of the overall series now, and I can briefly give some of my thoughts on that before we dive into this episode specifically. And they might actually change as I rewatch it, though, because I did notice that even on this second viewing of episode 2, certain things stood out a bit more, and it's not aging well.
Yes,
already, and it actually speaks to one of the issues of the overall series in terms of its general quality, its acting quality, and it's I guess staying power for being a show that people are going to want to remember and rewatch into the future. I don't think this is going to be that. No. Because my impressions after watching the entire season was that I actually enjoyed it, even though I felt it was still bad. There were there's a weird thing with me, right? There are certain things that I can enjoy disproportionately. And even in a bad show, if it has those elements in it, you can
withstand everything else that's bad about the show.
Exactly. It's easier to ignore those bad things. And overall, there are elements in the show that I were able to enjoy. And these are just like classic things that resonate with me, like heroism, self-sacrifice, good versus evil, and things like that. And the show has those elements in it, to its credit. But that helped me overlook some of its flaws. After that first initial I'm just here to try and enjoy it, watching, right? As soon as you either have to rewatch it again and it doesn't hit you as well because you already know that the problems stand out more, and then if you apply a critical eye to it, looking for, all right, let's really test this, the flaws come out even more. And that's what I found with this episode. How about you?
Well, my overall thoughts of the show, I do not like it. I would even... Here's my biggest gripe with it all. I think for what it is, the CGI was good. The dress setting was fantastic. I even think they did well with the casting, bar a few characters. I think where this show fails the most is in its writing. The dialogue is very clunky.
Oh, yes.
And even the things that they've changed, move around, or added, there is very few things where I've gone, that was a good change or that was a good addition. Majority of things I've gone, why?
Why did you do that?
Well, some things I'm like, oh, I know why you did that. That's a dumb reason why you did that. And there's just little things too, as someone who's watched the original series, when they make changes to stuff, I question, well, how is this other thing going to play out now? And when it plays out, I'm like, that was so stupid. When we get to later episodes, because it's in the whole thing now, the more I think about it, Shad, the more I hate this show. And I'm wanting to watch the original movie they made, and I'm scared that I'm going to like the movie more.
Oh, no, really? Wow.
Because people have said jokingly, at least the movie is 2 hours long. This show is like 8 hours long. So...
I might be with you there because this episode was harder to get through for me. Like I said, the flaws are becoming more apparent when you actually rewatch it. And ultimately, I almost think that, not all, but some of the intentions were kind of good with them wanting to try and make a show that had an uplifting kind of, uplifting message, characters, whatever, and stuff. But they just lacked the talent to I guess, cross the finish line with it. And at the same time, I also think there's an undertone of arrogance with the changes that they made.
Yeah.
Because why do you think you could do better if it was already working so well in the original?
And I mean, I guess I'll say this early on because we've seen all the episodes and I can say this. There are later episodes where there are portions one-to-one of the original series, and those are everyone's favorite episodes because they are one-to-one to the original series. So when you change things, I'm sorry, but as a fan, I'm going to get annoyed at you. But also, it makes a worse story because the changes you make just show your lack of knowledge and understanding of, like, if they change things and it still made sense, I'd be okay with it. But they change things, and I go, you ruined it.
Yeah.
So, should we dive into it
Yes,
more?
we're going to go into now specific examples in episode 2 about bad writing, some of the changes that don't work, and this is just for episode 2. We would like to do this for every episode, so watch, like, share, do all the things that you guys can help to support. We appreciate it. Also, you could become a member on here, Night's Watch. That helps out tremendously. All right, so the episode begins with Zuko throwing a tantrum. He doesn't do that in the cartoon, does he?
Not like, well, he throws, it's different tantrums. These ones are like, where's my journal? Uncle, I can't find it. And I think Zuko having a journal to begin with is stupid because that's not what he's like. They kind of make him act more like a crazy man, more than someone who's set on a mission and trying to accomplish something. Like, I think most of the things open, I actually watched the comparison episode for this, and it opens with him meditating, being relaxed and calm.
That is sorry. That is such a difference. Like Zuko comes off as whiny and petulant in this episode, and it's annoying. I did not like his character in this episode, and I don't remember much from the cartoon. I have watched it, well, this season at least, and I do not remember him acting like that. In fact, my impression of Zuko from the cartoon was that he was strong and serious. And
he's very, like, I don't think he's whiny or complacent. He's more hot-headed.
Yeah.
He has something that he desires, and he's Fire Nation of very, angry people in certain aspects. So, like, I don't think he has tantrums as much as he has, like, bursts of rage, really. And so the original one opens with him, meditating. His uncle saying, okay, Zuko, I've got some news for you, buddy. Like, you're not going to like it. And he goes, Uncle, you taught me, like, leaders should be calm-headed. And he said, we don't know where the Avatar is. And then he bursts in anger, going, what the heck? Why do we not know?
See, that is great, where it shows, look, it shows a dynamic character where he's trying to, be calm and collected, but then it's bad news.
It shows his character flaws.
That is so much better than what we got. Like, even that interaction and characterization is shockingly better.
And it's funny because they bounce off each other, because the thing they say is that they're tracking all the parts where they've seen the Avatar, and Zuko's like, clearly he's an element of, like, surprise and tactics and stuff. And then it cuts to Sokka being like, we are lost. We have no idea where we are, what we're doing. And then Aang's like, I know it's near the ocean, and then this vast ocean, like, there's already comedy and character, right? Like, it shows as well the incompetence of the Fire Nation, who are like, where's this kid? And this kid's just like, I want to ride a giant fish. Like,
I mean, the comparison is shocking. It's just even that. There's underlining of characterization and comedy and timing, and that is, like, genuinely good, complex writing there. And it's completely devoid in this episode.
it is.
Oh, wow. I need to rewatch the cartoon because I remember it, as you mentioned. I was like, that's what happened, and it was good. Well, I can't remember. Was it in this episode, or I think they stretched it out a bit more in the cartoon, where Zuko actually fights the general guy?
It's in a few episodes, yeah. They actually fast forward a lot in this episode, because what happens in the original series is they can't find him, and the arc with this story is that they go to Kyoshi Island. Aang is like, ooh, I got fans now. I'm going to hang around and have some fun. And, like, Katara's like, we should leave Aang because bad stuff happens. And then because they stay there so long, word gets out back to Zuko, hey, he's on Kyoshi Island. And then they go and track him down because they stay in one place for too long.
That is already so much better and smarter. You know what they do in this? We saw a flying cow so conveniently, and I happened to be exactly near you when you ask about it to give you the information.
But even then, they get that information from a market person who wouldn't know the Fire Nation's plans.
So fast! Like it doesn't even look like a day passes and that information is there.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. The cartoon is so much better written.
And they do it in 20 minutes. This was like an hour long.
I can't believe that. But, all right, so go back to the cartoon when, there's a fight between Zuko and the...
Zhao, yeah.
it builds Zuko's character really well, that fight. Like, it shows how serious and tough he is and is willing to challenge and fight for his authority and stuff. He kind of just rolls over and he's like, fine, I'll go around where you need me to go in this episode.
It also shows Zhao's character as well, because it shows that he's, like, he goes to shoot Zuko in the back, and then Uncle Iroh is like, that is my nephew who has been dishonored, has more honor than you. And it shows, you know, Zhao's fall in the end you see already in the beginning, because he's a sore loser and he's someone who's very, I don't know how to describe it, but yet where this Zhao I feel like is very not it.
So, wow, because I think also one of the things that helped me enjoy the show more is the fact that I remember so little from the cartoon. Because now that you're bringing it up, the stark, like, vast difference in writing quality is annoying me.
Yeah.
like they had such good things now that you bring them up again. And I remember in the cartoon, in specific comparison to what they did, that why are you changing these things? You had such a great blueprint to follow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's annoying.
And I also, there's even things they say, like Zuko says, like, you know, he's a coward, he ran away. If you get captured by someone, you escape. I wouldn't call that cowardice, because you captured them, so you want to escape. There's little things like that where it's like, well, he's not a coward. What do you want him to do? Like, fight you?
Yeah.
Like, he's a kid who's going to run away. He's also like a pacifist, so he doesn't want to hurt you either. So there's just little lines like that where I go, well, that ruins Zuko's character because it makes him look stupid. Also, it doesn't fit the story, and it shows the writers who are trying to insert this sort of stuff don't understand the material.
Yeah. And already from this opening scene, the acting... it's not good. And then when we switch to Qara in particular and stuff, like, I don't want to, you know, like, get down on kids acting and stuff, but the acting is consistently bad. Zuko, Aang in particular, Qara. I mean, Sokka, he has some good lines that delivers well. He's nowhere near as bad as the others.
Yeah.
But I think it also might be a directing issue, because you see some poor deliveries from other more experienced actors,
like older adults who know, who've seen stuff in other things, and you go,
should
that was
be
not
much
good.
much better.
I also think because they've changed the characters, I reckon these actors have watched the show and are trying to emulate what they've seen in the cartoon, but then the writing doesn't match what's going on, because there's parts where Aang's out playing with kids and stuff, and he looks like a kid and it acts natural. That was the whole episode meant to be. And because they changed it, they just give him such clunky dialogue. I feel sorry for him. Really
clunky dialogue. And so there's a conversation between Qara and Sokka about following, you know, Aang and helping him out. And it's forced dialogue. And then there was just something that just seemed odd, where Katara's like, aside from saving the world, look at what's happening. I'm now so much better at
after one day of waterbending.
Waterbending, right? And does she say that in the cartoon? Because basically what she's saying is like, I can get, you know, basically it's good for me. Selfish motivations. Screw saving the world, even though that's there. What's more important is I'm getting tougher as a result.
Yeah.
And I get to see the world. So, bonus. I was like, does it make you look good there, Qara? And I wonder if this is the writer maybe just reflecting what they would want to get out of this situation, because it feels like millennial selfish self-centeredness kind of attitude.
It is. Well, because in the original series, she was very much like, you're the Avatar, you're giving me hope, I'm going to help you become a waterbender. And Aang's like, well, you're a waterbender too, so you can come and you can learn as well. And this is whole... And it's funny because this direction happened at the very end of the episode of the first one. We're here at the air temple and they're still like, hey, we should go back now. We're like, we've done our job. Where before it was like, we have a mission now and we need to follow it through to the end. And like the family, the tribe was like, you need to go with the Avatar to do this. This is your calling now. Where like, I feel like here they're still kind of umming and ahhing about situations where it's like, you should commit to this.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things you bring up that was just confusing me is like, Aang, not only does he not want to learn how to waterbend in this episode, the entire season, he doesn't try and learn any other bending at all. And I'm like, Aang, what? I thought Aang was committed to trying to learn the other bending in the cartoon. But now it's not. And then they clunkily get like a really bad exposition as the reason why is that, you know,
Yeah.
so-and-so trained me. I don't like training with other people, and I'm afraid of my powers. And again, the fact that there was that element of Aang's hesitation for his power, that was subtle, and he didn't just blurt it out. The writers seem, again, like they're not confident in the audience figuring things out, or subtle.
The amount of times of exposition that's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
And it's clearly telling the people who don't know what is happening during the show, because we can't write things that are, subtle or clearly seen, it makes a worse episode because of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of just beating you over the head with clunky exposition, we don't have the talent to let it act out naturally. Okay, so something that something that threw me a little bit was when the food spills out and she finds the scroll, right? Found the scroll, right? I was like, they haven't eaten since they left. How far away is this air temple? Surely they would have came across it already or something like that. But anyway, just like timing and small.
Yeah, the timing thing doesn't make sense. Because the funny thing is, at the start of this episode of the original series, everyone's hungry. There's no food.
There's no food.
And so when Sokka sees Momo, he's like, I'm going to eat you because I want meat. Where like in this one, it's like, oh, there's someone in your bag. Oh, it's a little monkey guy.
And the reason why they changed it is because they wanted Katara to find the scroll, which was hidden in the food thing. And it's like, surely you could have made her find the scroll in a way that made more sense. It's like they couldn't. I was like, oh, we'll just hide in the food and we'll forget the fact that they haven't eaten yet.
Yes.
And it's like, hang on, how long has it been? You could have figured something. Well, a clever writer, not even clever, just an average writer should be able to figure stuff like this out.
It's disappointing because there's a few things there. One, the scroll should not be here yet. They get given so many things. Like by giving you the scroll, one, it doesn't make sense for your grandmother to be hiding waterbending from you, because if your tribe needs waterbenders, you would think, I'd give this to my granddaughter sooner so you can learn waterbending and be powerful. Like in the original series, if anything like there was a scroll, Katara would be using it, practicing. The fact that she was banned from waterbending made no sense, because you're in this isolated area.
Yeah.
If you're going to see a Fire Navy ship, you can stop waterbending.
You can stop, exactly. I don't think anyone's going to see you, and you can waterbend in hiding. And they're trying to say They're trying to say we can't let you waterbend because they're hunting waterbenders. And it's like, but if they're hunting your tribe generally, it's an asset. You would want them training just behind the scenes.
Water beats fire, so it might be a bit helpful.
Yeah.
And that also sets up, or doesn't set up now, a bunch of story stuff, because they steal that scroll from a bunch of pirates, which then in turn cause an effect on then Zhao paying them to then try and kill Zuko, which then has like this whole other arc. So by introducing this so early on, you've ruined like half your story, which obviously they don't cover at all now. But I just think it's dumb. And
it was clunky, and just it just didn't make sense with their flow of how much time should have passed, and it's because they wanted to force changes and stuff, and it was just like, all right. So then Aang buries Gyatso, and this was one of those scenes where the acting really is bad, where they get the actor, they have put, I don't know, liquid, get water in the eyes somehow, everything, but his expression and the tone of his voice and his emoting doesn't match at all. It's almost deadpan with wet eyes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, this is supposed to be a really heartbreaking scene for him. And I don't want to be harsh on kid actors, but still, this was like, I've seen some really good kid actors, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I also half think that maybe it's also directing flaw as well, because we saw bad acting from the adults on top.
Yes. I mean, there's just little nitpicks I have of like, okay, if you're going to bury Gyatso, all the other ant nomads, you're going to leave their bodies out chilling, or you just got a favorite there.
There's like a scene with Zuko. I think this is when they're landed in the port. In the port.
Yeah.
Even his posture is a whiny brat. He's walking.
Why are we here, Uncle? Yeah. Well, in the original series, if, had writers who were consistent, the reason why was because your ship needed repairs.
It got damaged. Yeah.
Even now, it's like, well, Zuko, you need information. Go to a market. the cause and effect is like, oh, Uncle, I need information. Where should we go? Oh, Uncle, why are we here? To get information. Like we said, like 5 minutes ago.
And I mean, I was trying to figure out if this was fair or not, if it made sense or not, them going there for the reasons that they're trying to present in our live action show now, because it feels like not even a day has passed, maybe a day at most, but they didn't show them sleeping or anything like that. It feels like if you were just to watch casually and go off what the show is saying, they escaped, land at the Air Temple on the same day, right? Do the thing, and now they've landed at a port, and you assume it'll take a while, but they don't show the progression of time well. So you could almost assume this is the same day, if not a day later. And then, hang on, you're thinking that people will have seen signs of the Avatar where they're just flying on a cow, something like that. Someone will see it, then word of mouth will carry it to this central port where you could find information. And I'm like, not enough time has passed for you to get that info like that. And if they wanted that, they should have shown more time passing. And guess what? The cartoon, as you mentioned, they show time passing, that Aang spends too much time on the island, which then is enough time for word to reach, which makes sense. It's completely devoid in the show. And so I'm wondering, like, how are you going to find out anything here?
And they're just clever ways the show made it of time passing without showing it. Like at the start of each episode, Psycho would be like, we need more food, we need more supplies, we've got to stop for stuff, or like, man, we've been flying for days. They say it all the time where it's like simple one-liners that make you go, oh, okay, since we last picked up, stuff's happened.
It's all you need. And it's like the writers, like, to me, again, it shows quite a bit of amateurish kind of understanding of plot progression and pacing and stuff, that they are completely unaware that they need to feed the audience these cues so they understand when and where things are happening. And it doesn't take a lot. A single line. We've been flying for days.
Yeah.
But the fact that they miss that, and the cartoon has it explicitly and makes it very clear, shows the quality and talent in writing. Big
difference.
Big difference, right? Okay, so they're there, and then they're like, they need information. Doesn't make sense that they'll get information here so soon, but they need information. And then he doesn't want to reveal that. There's the Avatar's like, you can learn a way or something to get information without divulging why you need to get the information. I'm like, all right then. Okay, you've set this up. So I'm going to be expecting a clever kind of subtle reason to get information and not divulge it. The reason it's really dumb.
Yeah.
Really dumb. We'll get to it. But he ends up, they go to the commander, and the reason they give is like, we're hunting sharkfish in the area. They're very tasty. So we need reports of what? Random sightings of random things around the world to find fish? But they're after maps or something like that. I was like, what? You don't have maps? You've been sailing the...
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And it's funny because I'm okay with them being awkward and clunky, because in the show, that's what happens. When Zhao's like, hey, you guys, onto your ship. And Zuko's like, oh, tell them, Uncle, tell them what happened. And he's like, no, Zuko, you should tell them what happened. And they're both like back and forth, like, yeah, a giant iceberg thing happened. Like, that's the annoyance I have here, because they try to act all smart, and then when they try to do the smart thing, it's like, that was not it.
It wasn't. And it's like, the writing in a show and the intelligence of the characters can usually only be about as good as the writer. There are ways that you can fake it, by the way, because I try to, in my own writings, right? There are times when I need to write a character who's smarter than me, and the way that you can fake it is like make them a bit more perceptive and kind of, you can front load things and plan things out. It's like, all right, if I make sure a person does this kind of cue, I can make this character perceive it and then puzzle together what's happened. And I can write that because I know the end and before the beginning, and I can then set it up like that, right? And therefore you can make the character, act much more intelligent than you would be able to do in that given scene. But that also takes a level of intelligence, right?
Yes.
The writing here is like, they need a good, clever reason to explain why they're after this information and to not give away their avatar. And that's the best they can. Like, it's really dumb. It's really dumb.
It is, because like everyone knows Zuko's being banished to find the avatar. And to say, oh, we're going to go hunt fish. It's like, you're at a market, you could probably just buy some fish here instead.
Saying, everyone knows that? That's what,
everyone knows that's his mission, to find the avatar, but no one knows the avatar's back yet.
Well, then what the hell? He's just like, look, I'm cursed to find the avatar. Give me all the information of strange sightings.
Yeah. I mean, there's ways that were secretive about it, but like at the same time, no one was playing dumb of like, oh, what's Zuko doing out here? Instead of, being in the Fire Nation.
And so I'm trying to figure out, because if he did that, right, saying, just acknowledges, yeah, look, I'm finding the Avatar, it's useless, I'll never find him, but it's my curse, basically. Give me the information. And then as they give the information, the other guys might actually notice, oh, report of something strange. Could the Avatar actually be around, right? It was a flying cow that they said. Would that tip someone off to the Avatar?
Yeah.
Would it tip him off?
A flying cow.
Maybe.
Because they know about the air nomads and their flying bison.
I guess. Because then, all right, then maybe he would need to give a different reason to get the information without saying it specifically. I wonder, like, he is the heir to the throne. What if he just says, I don't need to tell you why, give me the information?
Well, that
would have worked better than what they did.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
Or actually, the original was smarter. It was like word of mouth when you're at the markets. Because they're getting dinner, served them the fish that came from Kyoshi Island. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Avatar's there. And it's like, what? All right, let's go. Like, because it makes more sense as well. Because I feel like, sure, the Fire Nation would know certain news things and gossip. A lot of it would just be gossip and words of mouths. And I don't know how, with the division in this, world right now, how a earthbending city or town would get knowledge then to the Fire Nation. Obviously, through trade and stuff, that would kind of make sense. Spies, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like they spend too much time on it, and because of that, it's now more of a blatant issue than how it was in the original, where it's just like information gets conveyed around.
Which makes sense, and you don't think about it twice. In this, you're just like, hang on, it would take longer to get the information there. The way they're trying to find it is really dumb. And then the way they ultimately get it is retarded.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get to that, right? Okay, so that it just wasn't working. It was like, and then Zuko's acting petulant and like, it's like really? All right, and then now they're on Kyoshi Island, right? And bad acting again. Just like, I note every time it really stands out, I had to note it. And it's like, we're not just any visitors, the line. And it was just awful deadpan, delivery, and it's just like, oh. Okay. So another note of just bad writing, right, is when they actually Zuko and the uncle, they go to get the information, and then the other general guy comes in, is like, we don't get many VIP visitors here.
Please, who says VIP?
Please tell me that's not in the cartoon.
No.
Exactly, like that's a modern term.
Yes.
Why? Like, again, it shows the insight, the quality of the writers, that they would opt to using such a modern kind of out of place term to literally could have said, we don't get very many special guests, or we don't get much royalty visiting.
Yeah, that's basically what they say.
Oh, that's all you need. So it's like, again, it's a sign of the type of writers are working on this, that it's like you let that slip in without realizing that is a not appropriate term for the world and setting. Yeah. Okay, and then this is where like he gives the line, and it was supposed to be smart. It's like, we want to track a school of jumping sharkfish. Sure.
You are royalty. You can just, get it from wherever you want. You can pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
You're not fishermen,
It's very dumb. And if you were really doing that, well, you would ask a fisherman. You wouldn't go to like the headquarters.
Tell me your fishing charts. It's
exactly.
Like, oh no, we're at war. Department,
We have like guard routes or things that
invasion tactics or whatever else.
We're just we're a kind of peacekeeping authority. We don't fish. We don't know where the fish is. Why are you asking? That's suspicious.
It is. Or it's just funny because when they, again, original show, it's basically Iroh's like, let's have some tea. Let's just go through the motion of stuff. And Zuko's all hot-headed. The thing I hate about Iroh is not the same Iroh.
Yeah.
He's very different. The thing I've come to realize is that in the show, they're trying to make him too much like a wisdom guardian directing the plot, directing Zuko to certain places, where a lot of it, Iroh is going with the flow. He's drinking his tea. He's eating food. He's very, like, Zuko is very on a mission. He do this thing, and Iroh is trying to tell him, relax, think, pace yourself better. Where in this one, it's like, I'm going to tell you all this info dump stuff. Oh, look, sticky pudding rice. I'm going to go, like, it's very jarring because he's playing both the Zuko character and the Iroh character at once. Where Zuko's just a whiny, I can't find this thing.
Yeah.
And, the actor that plays Zhao didn't know he was going to be in The Last Airbender.
I heard that, a rumor of that.
Yeah, he thought he was going to play
the actual
Avatar, James Cameron Blue Monkeys. So I'm like, Oh, that explains a lot, doesn't it? Because he doesn't have the presence either.
Yeah.
In later episodes, that's even worse.
So, not everything is bad in this episode, especially if you're not familiar with the cartoon and you're constantly getting disappointed about. And by the way, that's valid, being disappointed by a lesser interpretation when they could have followed the blueprint accurately and given you something good, right? So I completely understand getting annoyed with that. But if that is not there, there's a higher chance you might be able to like it. Look, the scene where Sokka he has his shirt off and the girl sees him and he has that awkward kind of thing. I liked it. It's like,
I like the line of, you need a bell. Like, put a bell on you because she keeps sneaking up. That was funny.
And then it comes out like, when she does it again, he's like, seriously, bell.
It shows to me that, like, these actors can actually act and have comedy while also being the warrior type. It's the writing and story that actually lets it down.
Well, I think Sokka's the best, character and actor in the show at the moment, and so it makes sense that he has the lines that actually land.
He's the most likable, yeah.
And so it's like, small thing, but I did enjoy that little exchange. And I actually think kind of the attraction that they have between him and the girl was done mostly all right, where it's kind of implied more. Well,
No.
You don't like it?
No, it's too forced.
Too forced.
Too quickly, too fast.
Yeah? Okay, all right.
It's not as, maybe it's because it's a kid's cartoon, but it was a lot more innocent and it grew.
You're right. Like, in memory of the cartoon, it wasn't as so overtly, oh, you're hot.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're very teenage. It's very what are the newer crappy teen TV shows like Sephora or those other ones? Like everyone's just like thirsty for each other. In the TV show, it's very much Sokka's like, yeah, I'm a warrior. You know, like that first part. It was a bit awkward when he was talking in the show, but it kind of matched the character more. And then there was the humbling, and then they had respect for each other. It wasn't until the very end where Suki gave him an innocent kiss in the cheek that he's like, oh, do I have feelings for her? But then they move along, and that opens up, season 2 for stuff, but also doesn't. I think it's weird that they have such a strong connection, and then later in the series, he goes and finds Princess Yue and has the hots for her instead. So it's like
hang on, what about that other girl you were having? Look, you're right. That show did it better. Yeah, the show did it better. Okay. At least, and look, this is kind of bottom of the barrel stuff, but at least they show Qara training, trying to learn a bit more. She's there trying to learn. But at the same time,
then Aang shows up.
Why isn't Aang trying to train and learn? And then he gives the reason. It's really clunky and just it's like here is the plot, basically the internal character conflict that comes out way late right now. Just we're not gonna slow boil this. It's like, I'm afraid of my own power and blah blah blah, and which they drop in the first episode, and then they want to beat you over the head with because they're worried you didn't get it the first time, right? They don't have confidence that the audience
can figure
this out.
And I am really concerned if they make more seasons of the show, what Qara and Aang are going to end up being like, because one of the things is that Aang lost his people, but Qara is the replacement for that. Like in final seasons, it's like, I've lost all of my nation. I feel like I'm hollow. And they're like, well, that's been reborn in someone else, which is Qara, which is your new love. But in this whole season, none of that is happening. And that connection that they have of them both waterbending, and there's even arcs when they first get the scroll in later episodes in the original series. Aang is a master of it to begin with, and Qara gets annoyed at him because he's like, you're showing off. I'm so mad at you. And there has to be this like understanding of, okay, Aang is the avatar. He needs to be good at this, Qara. You need to humble yourself and be a good teacher. Like all that is just taken away with, oh, I don't want to learn waterbending because Gyatso taught me everything. Gyatso can't teach you waterbending.
Yeah.
Or fire or earth.
And you've reminded me, like, the cartoon has such good natural conflicts between the characters. Even the characters, they like each other, but they fight. Like, it doesn't happen in this episode, but they force arguments between Qara and Sokka, and they are pathetic.
Yes.
They're like, it's just, stop treating me like a child. You are like, but in the cartoon, it was actually, the arguments naturally arose out of the things that were happening.
Situations that are happening.
Yeah.
The thing I don't like about this show is Qara is a 14-year-old. Like, she's acting like it. Where in the original series, she was very motherly and mature for her age, because guess what? Her mother died when she was young, so she had to grow up very quickly. Yeah. Same with Sokka. Everything that kind of conflicts with them is their point of view. Sokka has had to be a warrior and therefore has a more masculine perspective of things, and female. Qara is the more female version of things. And of course, at times they clash because different perspectives cause different things. None of that is there now.
Yeah, again, because just the example you mentioned about her getting annoyed that Aang can waterbend a lot quicker and faster and easier than her, it's just good natural conflict and arguments that makes sense, right? It's in line with their character, and it shows like these are friends, but they still will get annoyed and angry at each other and then argue and everything.
It's like a normal relationship.
It's good writing.
Where this Netflix adaptation looks very unnatural because it's like, oh, I don't want to waterbend because, you know, my master who's dead can't teach me waterbending. Let's have a play flight in the water. And then it just cuts away and I'm like...
And it makes Aang look selfish. It's like, dude, you do know the world is at stake, right? Learn how to waterbend. Gosh. All right. And then, okay, so there's the scene where Sokka is throwing his boomerang and the girl comes in. And it's like, I'm a little divided on this because on the one note, yeah, the girl is a better warrior and it's in the cartoon and she shows him up. It just came off more I'm better than you kind of thing where because Aang he like I'll show you how to do it. He throws a boomerang, gets in the thing, and so she comes in and instantly shows him up. Yeah. Gets out a thing, throws her, cuts all the watermelons, so much better than him, right? And it's like she wasn't trying to show him up in the cartoon. She was just being I'm a good warrior.
Yes, and then when he showed up and said, okay, I'm going to show you how to fight, and she's like, all right, no martial arts, like this is going to be easy. Yeah. That's when the humbling part is. I think I also don't like the fact that they showed Suki is better at the boomerang than Sokka is. We're like, Sokka in the show can do some crazy things with the boomerang.
With that, and by the way, like that's like the only time we see the boomerang in the entire season. Friggin' outrageous. That's his iconic thing, right? And he's good with it. He is good with that boomerang. But this is all we see it once.
Yeah, and there's just... I remember Clunky line, though, from before when he's like, yeah, I'm a warrior, my tribe. And she's like, yeah, well, I'm not just a warrior. I'm a Kyoshi warrior. And I was like, oh, bravo, you got him there. So, yeah, I don't like the way they're doing it because it made sense in the original show for Suki to be better because she's literally training with her squad from the Avatar from 200 years ago, where Sokka's like, yeah, I learned this in the iceberg by myself. Like, of course, he's going to be a bit underskilled. But then there's this humbling moment where it's like, all right, if you want to learn from us, you got to learn all our traditions. And so you have to put up all the makeup and wear all the dress
which is funny.
And do all the stuff with everyone. Where in this one, it's like, all right, we're going to have a one-on-one session, you and me, and there's going to be tension.
And sexual tension. We're going
to get on top of each other.
I'm going to try and train you, but get turned on.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like watching that. It feels uncomfortable.
So, like, separate from the show, I actually think, all right, if these were different characters, that type of tension could work.
Yes.
And so I wasn't getting thrown out by it. But you're right, the show did it so much better, especially with him having to get in the full kind of...
There's embarrassment there. That's okay, it's humbling for him, but... The pacing was just so much better with this.
And just another, like, acting, right? When Aang gives us, like, the flashback where they were scared of me, where he shows, like, that line of they were scared of me. It's just so dead. It's just... all right. So, what dumbest thing in episode, by far. It's like a howling out loud, stupid thing, which the entire plot of the episode is resting on this happening, right? So, Zuko needs to find out where Aang is. Yes. He's walking around and he sees the general's whatever guy's ship is gone. Where did he go? And then as he says that, right, there's a fish guy just conveniently walking past, right? And he says, I can't remember if it was like,
it's just reports of the flying cow thing.
How this random fisherman heard, but basically, didn't he even describe that people on his boat told him about the Avatar? Who told Sokka that it was his own people on the ship that... Oh, no, that's right. Okay, so that was the scene before where the general finds out that they're searching for the Avatar because the people on Zuko's ship tells them. Yep. But now here, they're like, why did he leave? And then this random fisherman walking past says, oh, they heard of a flying cow and they decided to go investigate or something like that. And I'm like... How did the fisherman Find out that's why they were leaving.
Why does the fisherman know?
Why does the fisherman know? And the fact that he was walking by at the exact right time to overhear Zuko ask the question out loud to then conveniently give this crucial bit of plot information to let Zuko know that that's where they need to go. I was just like... so dumb.
That's so stupid.
Oh, wow. And the plot of the episode rests on that.
Yeah.
I mean...
what happens if the fisherman wasn't there?
Exactly. Like you said that 2 seconds before or after, like, you're screwed. Like, it's Deus Ex Machina, like, where the writer is forcing something to happen so unnaturally, right? That just, it wouldn't happen in reality. And I get that sometimes, you know, serendipitous things happen. No, not
But
like
not
this.
that detailed, that specific at that point in time.
Yeah, like when it's that crucial, all those things combined, right? This is like God intervening.
Yeah.
This is why it's called Deus Ex Machina, the God in the machine, essentially, right? Where the writer just gives the answer or solution for the characters in the scene, saves them. And it's like the writers could not think of anything better than that, resorting to a really bad writing trope.
I mean, it would make more sense since Zhao found out from the crew goes and says, "Oh, hey, by the way, Zhao's left because he said I can make more connective tissue."
Like maybe they get
the
onto
army.
No. Zuko gets back onto his boat. It's like Zhao's boat is missing. Why left? And it's like, oh, what? It's like, well, we were talking with the other things and we might have mentioned we saw the Avatar. He knows where the Avatar is, and then follow him.
Yeah,
that's all you need. Done. 2 seconds to figure that out, right? And it's already making more sense and better than that. Let alone what was actually in the cartoon, the blueprint they had, which made way more sense.
Yeah.
That Aang is wanting to play around too much, and then enough time passes that the fish from the village reaches where they are, and then they hear from natural rumor. It's just like... bloody show, man.
It's disappointing. And the fact that... I mean, small changes, but Zhao never showed up to Kyoshi Island. It was just Zuko and does the whole stuff, and then makes a funny experience later in later seasons when like Zuko's like, "I've never met you before." And he goes, "Yeah, we have. You kind of burnt down my village," and this is all like, "Oh, sorry about that. I've changed now." He goes, "Yeah, okay, sure." Like, but now it's like Zhao does it. Zuko shows up later and tries to find the Avatar, and this whole. Should we talk about Avatar Kyoshi?
We'll get there.
Okay.
We will get there.
Because that...
All right, so it goes to the scene with the training. So first is training the girls. And small thing, but as a pet peeve of mine, when people are training martial arts, when they're not actually practicing any functional moves, these are dance moves.
Yeah.
It's like, hoo-la, ha-la-la-la. They're not martial moves.
Yeah.
And it just rips me out. It's like...
I'm sure, I don't actually know, but I'm sure the show did better because they went overseas, found martial artists and recorded them, and then whenever bending or action is used, they always use those stances. So I'm sure...
I mean, I can't remember the specific scenes, but one of the scenes that really stands out was that fight between Zuko and the whatever guy name is in the cartoon, because it was an intense fight with some really good animation, and it was like that stuck with me. I remember it like that was really good in the cartoon.
But yeah, the dance
cut
moves...
completely. Yeah, dance moves, right? And then that kind of comes through to the training scene between him and her where they wanted the sexual tension type of thing. And look, I'm glad that they have Sokka trying to learn and to train, but the fact that one session with some vague kind of motions justifies him fighting with some serious moves later on. Come off it. The cartoon had several days pass. Was it a week or more? Right?
And even then, it was like he was practicing, and then he's like, "All right, let's do this one-on-one." And then he gets in a little hit, and she goes, "No, I let you do that." And he goes, "Nah, I got you good." And again, that's better chemistry than what there was in the show, where it's just like they're really close together. Like.
And so what they had instead, a bit later on, he does end up pinning her. He's like, I'm getting good at this. And then she throws him, right? And there's a line which I'll give credit because she says, you need to learn to use your opponent's strength against you. It's like, okay, they gave Sokka a win. We're showing that he has a little bit of competence, right, in the training thing. And then they also acknowledge that he's technically stronger than her because she says, you need to use your opponent's strength. It's like, hey, are they acknowledging that the guy's stronger than the girl? All right, okay. Look, it's a small thing, but I'll give it to you, you know?
Small win there.
Small win. We've already mentioned that the training thing is a bit like a bit cringe in terms of the forced sexual tension. Separated, I think it can kind of work, but it's just nowhere near as good as the cartoon. All right, so the bad guys arrive, and there's the confrontation. Unless you have it, because before then there's like Qara and Aang, they're trying to research and they're learning about the avatar Kyoshi.
I love how everything's just conveniently in a book on the page that they open to and go, yes, the avatar state here. I have a description of what Kyoshi says you should do. Let's go do that now.
Yeah,
like, the instructions are there.
Right, at first they couldn't find anything. They have the conversation, right? And then on the same page it shows like, this says that the avatars are in you. It's like, well, you didn't. If they waited 2 seconds, you would have. I found something. Right. So again, one of those ultra convenient things where right when they're having a conversation is the exact moment that page is literally open to the answer. Yeah. And so I've heard that there's some complaints about Avatar Kyoshi. Yes, fill me in on this.
Oh, geez, where do I begin? So people. I'm going to get hate for this, obviously, because people love Avatar Kyoshi. She is a badass in the sense of, like, she was very ruthless, justice-driven.
Yes.
You know, she's cool. She's a cool character. But here, my biggest issue is that she takes away a lot of the role of Roku, the like avatar before Aang that he's meant to find and kind of directs him through it all.
See, that's what I've heard, that there's actually a male avatar that Aang talks with that gets information from that they conveniently ignore in this adaptation.
Yes. Well, he does show up eventually, but he is a completely different character to what we know and love, which is annoying because, there's, again, everything is so interconnected in the show that once you touch one thing, you ruin entire arcs and reveals later. You go, oh, well, I don't care as much now because the character wasn't as interesting to begin with. And they're just the way that the avatar state works, because what they're trying to do is combine another episode where Aang goes to try and talk to Roku, and they have to sneak into a Fire Nation area, and there's this whole arc of, like, they're all obviously Fire Nation, so they all hate you, and they trick them into opening the room where he can talk to Roku, and then Roku basically gives him the gist of, like, okay, here's the avatar state, here's Sozin's comet, here's all the things you need to know and do. And then at the end of that, they have this vision of Roku, and all the Fire Sages freak out. They go, Roku is back, the avatar, and they kind of, there's this realization of, we've betrayed what we were originally for, where now they've replaced it with Avatar Kyoshi and these shrines, and she's just mean to him. She's just like, oh, it took you long enough. And he's like, well, I didn't know. Like, I'm a kid. And he goes, I was like you once. Anyways, there's this other thing. Like, the avatar state goes all through you. Also, there's a vision of thing happening later in the season, but you guys aren't going to be panicking about that for much during the series. And then when she's like, oh, yeah, you're, like, wasting time right now because everyone's in danger. It's like, well, Kyoshi, do you realize you're the one taking up Aang's time right now? And then she goes, I'm going to take control of you now. And does this whole...
Okay, let's pause on the taking control thing, because there's a couple of things I want to mention before then, and then I need to discuss the whole taking control
So,
thing.
yeah, there's a whole thing that was basically they've taken Roku's role and given it to Kyoshi instead.
Now, I could see them justifying it. They need to condense things, and they don't have much time.
But they've also spent a very long time in this one, like, episode. Me and my wife actually went through what we would cut if we were to make our own series.
Oh, yeah.
And we've done the math, and there are easily ways to add in things they have cut out because they spend way too much time on other things that they've inserted.
Absolutely.
So, sure, condense things, but you're also ruining a character.
Yeah. I mean, this was my big gripe with the Wheel of Time adaptation, where there's like, we need to condense things, right? And then literally have entire made-up episodes that aren't in the book that they just want to inject in there for their own gratification, right? Okay, so the bad guys, not the Zuko ones, the other ones with the other general guy, I forget his name, they arrive at the village, right? And there's like a face-off between the female warriors and them, and the dialogue is just pretty plain, nothing too interesting. It's like, you're irrelevant and we're isolated and we're, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so one of the soldiers walked past the old lady, and the old lady grabs him and just throws him like 10 meters.
Super strength.
It is literally super strength. And I was like, what? Hang on. Could she airbend? No, she shouldn't be able to airbend. These are they waterbenders or something? Earthbenders, were they? Okay, so like...
Well, actually, no benders.
No benders. But if there were any bending, I don't think...
Earth.
It would be Earth, right? And so I was like, what the hell? What?
And that's the thing, in the original series, it was Suki and her dad. There was no mother. And the early on the episode, Suki's mum's very like, we can't trust you, even though you're the Avatar. We can't do this. You have 48 hours. Where in the original series, it's like, how do we know you're the Avatar? And then goes, airbending. And then it goes, okay, cool, you're the Avatar. Let's treat you how you should be treated. Like, that was it, where Suki's mum was very, you can't trust people, trying to set up the ending of, you know, the Fire Nation coming. And the fact that they gave her that role of, you know, I can somehow super strength push you down. He's a firebender. You'd think that, you know, he wouldn't act so incompetent. But yeah, little things like that where it's just like, oh, clearly females somehow are stronger in situations.
So there is some fighting now, and there's a bit of a choreography exchange where Sokka is fighting with the girl, Suki. And I didn't think the choreography was terrible. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the action. There's a move where they start to work in tandem together. They didn't train enough for them to be that in sync. The cartoon, they had time, but here they had one session, and Sokka is suddenly knowing the moves. Putting that aside, the actual choreography was enjoyable, and there is a moment where they like tag team one firebender and knock him off. There's a moment where there's a fireball coming and he grabs the fan and he deflects aside. In isolation, that was enjoyable. It was a good fight. It just wasn't really justified with what they set up. Or Sokka's way too good at this already from one session. But again, in isolation, it was enjoyable, and it's like annoying because it just shows this show could have had potential, you know?
Like I said, everything there. Like they got the bending right, the action's been good, they've cast people who look like the characters. The one thing that's failing everything is the writing.
Yeah, genuinely so. I could have even, if the writing was good, maybe the bad acting would not have been slapping me in the face.
I feel like good writing can hide bad acting sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the fundamental flaw. The writing is just letting this down on so much, because it's everything from the way that the plot is progressing and the way the characters make their choices, get information, everything like that, the way that the character arcs are being revealed and the internal conflict and then the inter-character dynamics. It's everything, right? And it's letting it down on every single point to being just sometimes just blatantly stupid and just, right? Which is annoying because we see the potential in these other areas. Yeah, the bending often looks pretty darn good. They put budget into this, and even though some scenes look very whatever, you know,
CGI, you can tell, green screen or whatever,
or the void or whatever like that, it still looks pretty good. I would rather the Fire Lord being in a really large, vast fire temple that looks, you know, clearly CGI or fake or anything, than in a really tiny, like throne room that just doesn't match the grandeur that he should have. That would have been a real set, you know? I would prefer the thing that depicts the world more accurately, even if it is CGI. But some actually did look good, and so they had that potential. All right, so now, because everyone's getting in danger, Kyoshi is like, why aren't you helping? Because it's you, right? But then she's like, I will show you what the Avatar can do, basically. And this kind of threw me when I first saw it. I was like, what? I do not remember this, right? Where past Avatars can not only literally overtake Aang, but they possess him and their physical form appears in him, get all his powers, and then can go Super Saiyan. Am I just forgetting? Is that in the cartoon at all?
Like I said, there's an element where there's a portion in the series where he's talking with Roku, and Roku says, "You're in danger. Let me help you." And there was a moment where, like, he kind of Blue Spirit style, like, okay, everyone can be type first. It was like, okay, everyone freaks out, and then obviously you see it's Aang. This one is very much like Kyoshi's taking control, and she's like, I haven't done this in a couple 100 years. And it's very fan service to the people who love Kyoshi and just want to see Kyoshi kick some butt. And the thing that annoys me about the most...
Why do so many people love Kyoshi? I thought it's just past Avatar that appears briefly.
Because she's a female strong hero.
Well, see, that was the impression that I got, that they opted for this for the girl power moment. Yeah. To have like a kick-ass, powerful girl boss come in and save everyone.
100%.
You reckon that's it?
Yeah, that is 100% it.
That was the impression I got.
Because even fans who love Kyoshi go, oh, you know, we're purists here. We like
that's a bit much.
Adaptations, you know.
And the fact that she just possesses and then it just appears like she's in physical reality there. It's just like, what?
And even her powers are like Superman level
crazy.
She's
flying around.
Like Qara and Zuko are fighting, and Zuko is about to kill her, and then Kyoshi just drops in,
and then literally fireballs off like Superman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense because with the Avatar state, you kind of only, my understanding at least would be, you perceive the environment around you and work off that. Aang wouldn't know Qara is in danger.
Yeah.
Neither would Kyoshi.
Yeah.
And the fact that it also actually ruins a really good hero moment for Aang, because in the original series, what happens is they're all in danger, the place is burning down, and they basically say, leave, you guys need to go, so you go, like, don't get captured or whatever. And they go to leave, and Aang looks back and sees the village on fire and goes, I can't let this happen. So he goes to the koi fish he was riding before and uses it to put out the village and, you know, extinguish the fire. So there's a hero moment of, like, Aang will still sacrifice himself for those people, and it helps you get connected to him, because it's like, okay, he's going to save the world because he's not going to leave people burning, you know, to die. Where here it's like Kyoshi's taking control and she's going to be the one that does the hero moment instead.
Yeah, and it robs Aang of an important hero moment that he should have had. And it also robs a lot of the kind of, it's like, oh, superpowered girl boss comes in and wipes everyone out.
And even then it's like, okay, we all see the Avatar state's powerful. We are no longer learning about it or how to control it or...
And my first reaction, they try and answer this in the show after this scene when, and at least they have the foresight to do that, where Sokka goes, so the lady, is she going to come back again? Like, are we going to see her again? And he says, I can only do it when they're at their shrines. Because when I first was watching, I was like, oh, okay, there goes all the stakes.
Yeah.
Just
Be
you know,
Kyoshi every time.
Summon Kyoshi and you're done every time. But even, all right, restricted by the shrines... Is there like a shrine to another one of these avatars in like the fire-bending city?
I mean, there has to be now because they've included them into the story.
You'd think so.
It didn't exist before, but now
like that's a massive power. There is a shrine to an avatar at the ice place at the end of the thing. Like
just become
the thing.
Yeah. Kuruk, and then
there should have been no problem. You've now foreshadowed, set up his having this ability. Just let the other guy take you over. And did they even mention why he can or can't? I can't. I need to rewatch the episode because I think they might have even mentioned in that episode, because it's a problem of why he couldn't do it. The old Avatar. Did you remember the? Because I think they even mentioned
like in the Netflix.
Yeah, in the Netflix that he could do it, but he won't, or something like that.
I don't remember. We might need to watch
that. If we do get to do the episodes, we'll get to that. But look, this is a big issue because there are ways you could exploit this in the plot to get Super Saiyan master powers, which subverts Aang's arc of needing to learn it in the first place. It was a jump the shark moment almost for this show, where it's like, what are you doing? No, this is really bad. And fundamentally, you're robbing Aang of the hero moment, which you need, especially early episodes, to build him up as a character.
Yep.
Oh, it was frustrating.
And there's just little elements that they miss out that maybe they'll add back in because they forgot, or I'm terrified that they're going to just remove completely from lore. But there's things like, okay, the Avatar state is a defense mechanism. It has all the past lives to your body. But if you die during that, the cycle is cut off and the Avatar is no longer. And so little things like that where it's like, you didn't add that into the, the caveat of it. So I'm concerned because that's a whole story arc too there. But
it was a really bad way of ending. And what's frustrating, some of the effects look cool. Like you're getting old power, Super Saiyan thing. It was just undermined by what it was doing in the plot and the whole girl boss ultimate power moment. It's just like,
I think the reason, for me at least, it's ruined more of Kyoshi because she's stealing spotlight from other people. The reason why Kyoshi was cool was because she barely showed up. When she said cool stuff. And if you like Kyoshi, there's books and stuff, and they're going to make more series about her anyways. But replacing Aang's arc and story to then insert these characters in instead, I think ruins it for me.
Yeah, and it also ruins the self-sacrificing choice that the villagers had, where it's like, you need to go, but your villagers are fire. And then Aang's it's like, now they're just saved.
Yep.
They're just saved because of magical bullcrap power. They literally, like, this isn't in the show, so this is them doing the Deus Ex Machina again.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll just have super-powered girl boss come in and save everyone because, one...
We need that moment.
They wanted the moment. They didn't have the talent to write something that was more satisfying, that made sense of the plot, the characters working out a solution somehow, and then not using the solution that was already pre-baked and blueprinted there before
Because
you.
the reason why they didn't use it was because Aang can't be playful and fun anymore. So therefore, that character arc for him and that sensibility he has, we can't use anymore because we've ruined that from his character. Like it's it's just, like the reason why this failed for me is because Aang isn't playful and Sokka isn't a sexist.
Those are two big problems. Yeah, I agree.
Like obviously those aren't the best things to have in the state, but those flaws help the story move along.
Exactly, it really does. And that characterization of Sokka being a bit sexist, the girls can't find stuff, was actually important for his arc and these events in the story because he gets subverted by, oh, this girl's really tough, and I need to learn from her. And it was important for his, that's gone. That's not there. So really flat. As a result, that should have been something really big and important, and that's kind of it. They're leaving, and then the last scene, the second last scene, is Zuko, talking with the soldier guy saying, look, if you told me that Avatar was there, we could have worked together. Blah, blah, blah. And just another really weak scene for Zuko's character here is like, don't tell anyone. It's like, oh, dude, you're aware. Like, Zuko would have been like, don't you dare tell anyone. Yeah, but this is like whiny, pleading.
Yeah.
He's so petulant.
And I don't like, later in the episodes, we see that they're working together and stuff. This is like this double teaming, like whatever. I don't like it because it ruins Zhao's character, who's very like, oh, Prince Zuko, like you're nothing. And Zuko's like, no, I'm going to prove you what I'm worth. There's this competition between them both on, I guess, a little civil war thing that makes it interesting too, because obviously, and the funny thing for viewers is that you want Zuko to kind of win because you feel sorry for him. You're fine with Zhao losing, but Zhao's always more powerful, and you want Aang to succeed because he's the Avatar. So as a viewer, you're like, all these characters and people doing things, it's hard. You feel conflicted, and it's entertaining because you have to make a choice. You're stimulated by the story. Where now it's like, Zhao's all, we should work together, and Zuko's all, no, I don't want to. And then Aang's like, I'm not a child, but I'm not going to do anything and act childish.
Yeah, I'm afraid of getting power, so I'm just not going to learn it, and I'm going to save the world, but I'm not going to do anything to actually actively become stronger to save the world.
Like,
yeah.
The flaws are just
they're really apparent, especially when you rewatch it or even apply the mildest critical eye. It's like, yeah. And so, look, that's the, when you really break it down, there are some massive problems here. Episode 2, and I'm now almost hesitant about getting to those other episodes because we know
it gets so much worse.
They get worse.
It gets so much worse.
And look at the problems that are just in episode 2.
Oh, that was the least offensive one, I think, because even though they added things, they still kept most of the stuff in. Later. Oh boy. So I hope you will join us for those future reviews. I'd like to get to them. So give us a like, subscribe, do all those fun things. Support us if you'd like to. We appreciate you watching. And as always, stay on watch.